Crazy Horse was a Lakota war leader of the Oglala band in the 1800s. Both feared and admired by allies and enemies alike, he would gain widespread fame amongst his people for the part he played in the fight against the US federal government, following the encroachment of his native people's territory by white settlers. This is the story of one of the greatest and most metal war leaders of the Native American people. Crazy Horse was born into the Oglala band of the Lakota Sioux in the Black Hills of South Dakota. His parents were both members of the Lakota people. His father, who was also named Crazy Horse, was of the Oglala subtribe, while his mother, Rattling Blanket Woman, was of the Miniconjou subtribe. In 1854, while living in a Sioux camp in present-day Wyoming, Lieutenant John Lawrence Grayton, along with 29 other U.S. troopers from Fort Laramie, entered the Lot Sioux encampment in search of a man who was accused of stealing a migrant's cow. The Lakota people claimed that the cow in question wandered into the camp, and after some time, the man in question butchered the cow and shared the meat amongst the camp. After one of the U.S. troopers shot and killed Chief Conquering Bear, the Sioux people retaliated and killed the lieutenant along with his 29 soldiers and a civilian interpreter. After witnessing the event, Crazy Horse would set out on his vision quest, an important rite of passage in becoming a Lakota warrior. Crazy Horse would ride off into the prairies, purposefully ignoring his people's tradition and rituals. After fasting for 2 days, he had a vision where a warrior on his horse rode out of a lake wearing simple clothing, no face paint, with his hair down and a feather in it. The warrior would tell Crazy Horse that if he dressed modestly and didn't take any war trophies for himself, that he would not be harmed in the battle. Crazy Horse's first kill was a Shoshone raider who had murdered a Lakota woman while she was washing buffalo meat along the Powder River. He would fight in many battles between the traditional enemies of the Lakota people, such as Pawnee, Blackfeet, Shoshone, among the other tribes. His mother gave him nicknames Curly and Light Hair, which he would use throughout his youth. In 1858, following a battle with the Arapaho warriors, in which he showed his strength and bravery, his father gave him the name Crazy Horse, while he himself would take the name Worm. In November 1864, following the Sand Creek Massacre, where the 3rd Colorado Cavalry of the U.S. Army attacked and decimated the village of Cheyenne and Arapaho people in southeast Colorado, killing and mutilating up to 500 of the occupants, who were mostly women and children, the Oglala and the Miniconjou bands allied with the Cheyenne and Arapaho against the U.S. Army. In July 1865, the Lakota Sioux summer offensive against the U.S. Army culminated in battles of Plot Bridge, Red Buttes. Crazy Horse was present for these battles. In these, Crazy Horse would show off his bravery and fighting abilities, after which he was awarded the name Shirt Wearer, or War Leader, by the tribe. On December 21, 1866, under the leadership of Red Cloud and Crazy Horse, the Confederation of Sioux Tribes planned and executed an ambush on soldiers of the U.S. Army stationed at Fort Kearny. Crazy Horse, along with 10 warriors, rode into the view of Fort. Following a brief engagement, the Native American party feigned a retreat that tricked 80 soldiers led by Colonel Fetterman to give chase. The plan worked perfectly, and the soldiers rode straight into the ambush where 2,000 Native Americans showered the hopeless soldiers with arrows. None of the 81 soldiers would ever return to Fort Kearny. Until this point, it was the biggest defeat suffered by the U.S. Army in the westward expansion. In the fall of 1870, the wife of no-water Black Buffalo woman left her husband and accompanied Crazy Horse to his annual buffalo hunt. It's important to know that at that time, it was widely accepted for a woman to divorce their husband. Native American women at the time were held in high honor as they did all the work in the camp except for fighting, fishing, and hunting. The husband was expected to accept his wife's decision. However, upon his return, No Water was furious and began to track Crazy Horse and Black Buffalo Woman down. He attempted to shoot and kill Crazy Horse and would have been successful if it weren't for Crazy Horse's cousin. Touch the Clouds knocked the pistol upwards and the bullet struck Crazy Horse's upper jaw, but it would prove to be not a fatal wound. No Water fled to his village with Crazy Horse's relatives in hot pursuit. As compensation for the incident, No Water was to give Crazy Horse 3 horses after Sioux elders convinced the pair no more blood should be shed. As the Black Buffalo Woman was married, Crazy Horse was stripped of his titles as shirt wearer. On June 17, 1876, Crazy Horse led a combined force of 1,500 Lakota and Cheyenne natives against the U.S. Army along with their Shoshone and Crow allies led by General George Crook. On the morning of the battle, Crook stopped to rest his men and animals deep in enemy territory. Crazy Horse seized the opportunity and attacked, first attacking the Crow and Shoshone scouts and then the U.S. Army. While the loss of human life was relatively low on both sides, historians tend to agree that the Battle of the Rosebud was a tactical victory for Crazy Horse and his men as they prevented Crook from reaching General Custer's force. The lack of support from General Crook is attributed to the demise of Custer and his men 1 week later at the Battle of Little Bighorn. The Battle of Little Bighorn was an overwhelming victory for the Native Americans, where the United States Army suffered 268 fatalities of the regiment's original 700. The United States Army inflicted only 31 fatalities on the much larger Native American foes, up to 2,500 warriors. Following the Great Sioux War of 1876, Crazy Horse's bravery was attested to by eyewitness accounts, claiming Crazy Horse as the bravest man I have ever saw. He rode closest to the soldiers, and the greatest fighter in the whole battle was Crazy Horse. Following the disastrous defeat of the United States Army at the Battle of Little Bighorn, the American population was outraged and demanded revenge. The United States Army launched an unexpected winter campaign against the hostile Native Americans led by the General Nelson Miles. While many Native Americans surrendered upon Nelson's arrival, Crazy Horse refused and kept fighting. On January 8, 1877, General Miles finally found Crazy Horse's camp along the Tongue River in Montana. Miles's men opened fire on the unsuspecting camp, driving the camp's occupants out into the blizzard. While he managed to escape a decisive defeat, Crazy Horse would soon realize that he had no hope in securing a victory against the well-equipped United States Army. On May 6, 1877, the much-loved and feared warrior led 1,100 Native Americans to Fort Robinson's in the Red Cloud Reservation, where he surrendered in the face of insurmountable obstacles. On September 5, 1877, Crazy Horse was stabbed and killed while in the custody of the United States Army. Crazy Horse is proudly remembered and celebrated to this day by the Lakota people and remains a significant figure in the Native Americans' fight against the United States Army and the white settlers who encroached his people's lands and liberties. Famous American writer Ian Frazier even said, quote, "Even the most basic outline of his life shows how great he was because he remained himself from the moment of his birth to the moment he died. Because he may have surrendered, he was never defeated in battle, because although he was killed, Even the army admitted he was never captured. His dislike of the oncoming civilization was prophetic. Unlike many people all over the world, when he met white men, he was not diminished by the encounter." End quote. In 1948, Henry Standing Bear, a Lakota elder, commissioned a massive memorial dedicated to life and memory of Crazy Horse. The mountain monument is still under construction to this day, and if completed as designed, it will become world's tallest monument, only second to the Statue of Unity in India. Standing at a massive 641 feet and 563 feet long, for comparison, the head of George Washington carved into Mount Rushmore is only 60 feet tall. This has been Historic History's account of Crazy Horse, one of the most metal commanders in history. Make sure you have subscribed to Historic History and have hit the bell button to keep up to date with the future videos, where we will explore the lives of other great commanders from history, amongst the other topics. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, and if you have any suggestion, leave them in the comment section below. This has been Historic History, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.